From the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
Welcome to another edition of the Primetime News Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi-TV, available worldwide on the internet and in Europe on ABN Television. Coming up, University of Ghana condemns demolition of toll booths under construction on its campus. But the National Security Coordinator, who's owned up to the act, insists it is justified. Parliament announces postponement of President's State of the Nation address to next week. Deputy Health Minister appeals to medics at Komfanochi Teaching Hospital to return to abandoned wards following recent mob attacks, even as the family of missing baby vows to get to the bottom of the matter. Ghana Health Service to table motion in Parliament to upgrade CHIPS compounds to NHIA accredited facilities. And NDP Chairman Josiah Ayer sues NDC General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia for allegedly calling him a thief. We also have a clarification from the Bank of Ghana on its recent Forex directive coming up in business with Abigail Adomako Entry. And then sports, showbiz, and international news. Stay tuned.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
In our very first story, authorities at the University of Ghana have condemned the demolition of a toll booth under construction there on the orders of national security. National Security Coordinator Colonel Larry Bevlo-Latte says that toll booth and the activities of the attendants were disrupting traffic flow on the main Tetekwashi to Legon Road. But the university says the action was inappropriate and uncalled for.
The demolished toll booth was sited at the Okponglo entrance to the university, a short distance from where attendants have been collecting controversial tolls from motorists seeking to use roads on the university campus, primarily as a thoroughfare. But the National Security Coordinator told Joy FM this was creating nuisance for motorists on the main Tetekwashi to Legon Road.
It's causing a lot of nuisance because the traffic juts back into the traffic light, and people coming on the highway from a bridge to Accra, from Medina to Accra, get stuck there for long periods. We found that to be unacceptable. Complete nuisance too, causing complete disaffection to the general public. What we did was to send people to go and tell whoever is in charge of that security thing that that was a wrong place to locate whatever they were doing. Nothing happened. They continued. The situation was the same. I went there personally on Sunday, left a note on my complimentary card for his boss, who he said was ACP retired, Amadu, I think. And on that note, I said that that particular position was wrong in whatever deployment he was doing, because it was causing a lot of nuisance, and therefore they would have to relocate.
Amidst public outcry, 2 students were suing the university for instituting the controversial tolls, a matter which the Supreme Court is yet to pronounce on. Colonel Larry Bevlo-Latte suggested this would have been expedient for the university to wait until the determination of the case. The university authorities, however, say due process should have been followed.
In our dissatisfaction to the exercise that took place on the campus of University of Ghana under the cover of darkness yesterday night, it's distasteful, it's cowardly, it's unwelcome. So how come without consulting the university authorities, under the cover of darkness, a toll booth that is under construction is allegedly pulled down by the powers that be, not less than any state institution, but national security? You say Chief of Staff gave a directive. I do not have that directive. What happened yesterday night, there is no official communication to the university authorities. In fact, if you have put me further, yes, I've spoken to the Vice Chancellor. There hasn't been any of that sort.
The president of UTAC added measures were already being taken to address the traffic situation blamed on the toll collection exercise, and said the university feels threatened by the demolition. When we started tolling, we ourselves realized that it was creating traffic at the Okponglo traffic light. So what did the university do? We've taken measures to address that. They have moved the point of the toll collection
further into the university campus. University of Ghana is over 1 mile square. Where did this take place? At the entrance. One of the entrances that the toll booth is being constructed. The next time it could be that a lecture theatre is being pulled down, or it could be that a lecturer's resident, a lecturer who is seen as a threat. So we are not safe. So we are really in a state of fear and panic.
Meanwhile, the toll booth operations at the Okponglo entrance, where the demolition took place, have been relocated further up the road. Tolling has been unaffected at the other entry points. Matilda Bamagan for Joy News, Accra.
The Speaker of Parliament has meanwhile withdrawn the directive to the Roads and Transport Committee to intervene in the misunderstanding between the authorities of the University of Ghana and some students over the decision to toll roads on the campus. This was after the Deputy Minority Leader drew the Speaker's attention to the fact that the matter is pending in court.
That is being carried out by the University of Ghana. And a directive was given that 2 committees of this House, Education and then Road and Transport, should investigate the matter and report to this House. At the time, we were unaware of the fact that on the 29th of January 2014, a suit had been filed before the Supreme Court relating to the same issues, indeed dealing with Article 174(1) of our Constitution. And it was along the same lines that we thought we should mandate these 2 committees to deal with the matter. Since then, our attention has been drawn to the fact that there was pending in the Supreme Court at the time this action taken by Ernest Victor Apawu and Musa Mustafa against the University of Ghana and the Attorney General. In the circumstances, having regard to Order 93(1) of our standing orders, it will be inappropriate for us to allow our subcommittee to go into the matter, and therefore the direction given on that day, that is the 4th of February, is hereby retracted or withdrawn until we hear from the Supreme Court regarding the outcome of the suit before it.
Now to the Kumasi Teaching Hospital, where the Deputy Minister of Health is appealing to doctors and nurses there to return to work. There's a report by Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin.
The doctors and nurses withdrew their services as a result of irate youth who stormed the hospital to demand the body of a baby, dead or alive. The workers fear the youth will return, and they are demanding adequate security at the hospital to protect them. The Regional Police Command has since dispatched police personnel to the facility to provide adequate security. Currently, security at the hospital has been beefed up, but the doctors and nurses are yet to resume work. Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Alfred Sugritia, has appealed to the doctors and nurses to resume work.
The Ministry of Health will want to appeal to our doctors and nurses to return to work. The situation on the ground now is stabilized. After hearing from the Deputy Regional Minister about the security arrangement on the ground, and after seeing the number of security personnel, both in security uniform and those plainclothes people who are around to support, to make sure that no attack occurs again, I think it's enough for the doctors and nurses to feel safe to return to work. I am convinced that the services that are rendered here, a lot of people benefit from it. Very high qualified people work here, extending all types of very useful services to improve the health of our people. If you withdraw your services because of a single incident, so many people will be affected. And it's not in our interest to allow that to happen.
He promised the matter would be investigated. Deputy Ashanti Regional Minister Samuel Yawidusei also appealed to the media to be circumspect in their reportage.
As it is, shouldn't add anything because otherwise it will inflame passions and it can cause a whole lot of problems as the police carry out their investigations. So the minister, the deputy minister, with the nurses and the doctors, and that soon they will resume and then render their services as they used to do. So please, let's see how we carry it, because the issue stands around mismanagement of information.
The deputy minister and his entourage later visited some of the wards in the hospital, which were mostly empty. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report.
Well, the family of Suwaiba Abdul Munim, the expectant mother whose baby is at the heart of the missing baby saga at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, is insisting authorities must produce the child, whether dead or alive. In a press statement, they indicated their preparedness to get to the bottom of the matter if the police chooses to focus only on the hospital side of the story. Another report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
The statement signed by the family's spokesperson said the decision of the doctors and nurses to withdraw their services with the excuse of not being safe is a ploy to stop the family from demanding the body of the baby, dead or alive. The family described a statement by the hospital that Suwaiba had given conflicting accounts of the missing baby as attempts to discredit their side of the story, and again said stories making rounds that Suwaiba, on her way from the labor ward to another, collapsed but was quickly revived was untrue. Suwaiba's family is alleging that midwives invited by the police had been uncooperative and threatened not to report to the police to have their statements taken. The family spokesperson Mohammed Abdul Rahman, who signed the statement, disclosed that a peaceful march of the youth was met with insults and physical abuse from staff of CATH, and this resulted in a clash leading to the arrest of some of the unarmed members of the group. Meanwhile, the family has appealed to the aggrieved youth not to take the law into their own hands. The family said it is disgusted at the current twist of events, adding that media platforms are now busy with CAT's version of the story. The statement also described the explanations of the Public Relations Department of the hospital as exaggeration in connivance with the police to seek public sympathy. Meanwhile, doctors and nurses who withdrew their services at the labor ward are yet to resume work.
We're staying with health, where the Ghana Health Service is expected to table a motion before Parliament which will see community-based health planning in service, or CHIPS compounds, increase the amount of services they render to their clients. The motion, when eventually passed by Parliament, will, among others, make CHIPS compounds NHIA accredited institutions. CHIPS compounds have been identified by government as critical in the achievement of Millennium Development Goals 4 and 5, which seek to reduce maternal and infant mortality by half by the year 2015. Yafusa Jemfi reports.
The Ghana Health Service, together with its development partners in 1999, approved the use of community-based health planning and services, or CHIPS compound, as a means of making primary health care accessible to all, particularly those in rural communities where access to health care is often non-existent. Government has since bought into the idea of the CHIPS compound. There are currently over 600 CHIPS compound providing healthcare services to people in the country. But the Ghana Health Service says it would need more than the current number of CHIPS compound if it is to adequately cater for the health needs of the population, adding even the proposed 1,600 compounds will not still be enough.
So the 1,600, we are looking at the committees giving support, we are looking at these assemblies, and then the central government. So sometimes from here to we plan, project, and then try to see where we can get from our budget. Health partners come in and they are prepared. We'll get, but they are not even enough. But for the most important thing is that getting health workers working with the community in all electoral areas so that nobody is lost.
But not all are amused about the idea of the CHIPS compound. President of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Edusei Poku, says instead of government spending resources to build CHIPS compound for the various communities in the country, it should also channel some of the resources into building clinics for the communities.
I even heard that they are putting up CHIPS compound to reduce maternal and neonatal mortality. It is not the truth. Even not any other doctor can even reduce neonatal mortality, more so chest compound, what the caliber of people there. Some of them, we must take the politics out of those things and call a spade, and then manage our health systems properly. Yes, the chest compound may help, but not at the level that politicians want to talk about everything. I think the chest compound is a panacea to our healthcare system. I don't think it's the.
Whilst the debate rages on in the health sector, government appears to be standing by its belief that the CHIPS compound are the best way to provide reliable health care to the ordinary Ghanaian. As a result, the CHIPS compound would soon be added to the list of National Health Insurance accredited institutions.
Now the formula, they alter it, and a lump sum will be given as a performance-based financing to those people at the CHIPS zone as they go around, so that we make sure that they've actually gone to look at the people, and those who've been discharged from hospital, they actually follow them out to ensure they adhere to their medication.
Officials are now looking up to Cabinet to prepare the bill and forward it to Parliament to enable it pass a law that makes CHIPS compound a key institution with access to the National Health Insurance Scheme. Yafusia Jimfi, Joy News, Accra.
In other news, Chairman of the National Democratic Party, NDP, Dr. Josiah Aye, is suing the National Democratic Congress and its General Secretary, Johnson Esidu Nketia, over comments suggesting he is a car thief. The supposed theft, according to Johnson Esidu Nketia, in interviews granted to Accra-based radio stations, happened during Josiah Aye's tenure as General Secretary of the NDC. Dr. Aye has, however, described the allegations as frivolous and wondered why the party has failed to report the matter all this while. The court action, he says, should clear his name and make the NDC account for the General Secretary's actions.
The court actions follows a war of words between the two on a number of radio stations in Accra, started by the NDP chairman, who described the NDC government as being constituted by a bunch of greedy thieves that took delight in sharing the national booty amongst themselves at the detriment of the ordinary people. The NDC General Secretary then responded, accusing Josiah Aye of taking bribes from the New Patriotic Party and stealing 2 cars belonging to the NDC during his tenure as the party's General Secretary. Allegations he has flatly denied.
Certainly, if their cars have been stolen, I advise the NDC to go to the police. But they know that no cars or theirs have been stolen. They're just trying to make cheap propaganda out of practically everything. That is why I have taken a personal decision to take them to court, because this sort of thing has been running for a while. Anytime that you try to do anything, then they bring scurrilous statements about you. It's not about me personally. I mean, why are they terrified? Why is the NDC afraid of me? I want to ask them, why are they afraid of me if, of course, I amount to nothing? Why is it that when I speak about something, some clear thing, some clear subject, rather than react to the subject, they think they must react to my person?
Dr. Josiah Aye also watered down comments by Dr. Clement Apak, a presidential staffer, accusing him of being an attention seeker.
We went to our Congress. We had a theme for the Congress, and we if I spoke to the theme, and then the NDC decided to react for bizarre reasons only known to themselves. I think that they are mightily terrified. That is why they are reacting the way they did, because ordinarily if a party goes to a conference and holds a conference and somebody mounts the platforms and makes a speech, even a fiery speech, that shouldn't, provoke the sort of reaction that you're saying. But they, as I said, they are mightily terrified. We're not seeking attention. We're simply trying to draw attention to the central planks of our programs and manifesto and platform. That's all we're doing.
The National Democratic Party, he added, is currently undertaking a house-cleaning exercise to reposition itself strongly to contest the 2016 elections.
We were embryonic prior to the elections, and of course things went wrong. I wouldn't say undermined, but the things didn't go the right way. As a result, we couldn't fill the full complement of candidates, and our presidential candidate could not also run. Of course, that took a lot of spirit out of the party, but that spirit is back. And we thought that it's about midpoint in the electoral cycle, and we thought that we should get started again, which is why we did the event in Kumasi that we did over the weekend. That was on Saturday. The whole idea was to bring activists, party executives together and try to chart a new course.
Dr. Josiah Aye first lashed out at the Mahama-led administration at a National Democratic Party Delegates Congress held over the weekend, where officials expressed concern about the state of the country's economy. The NDP alleged the nation was being run as though it had no leader and called on well-meaning Ghanaians to demand accountability from the country's leaders.
Now, we'll be going to Parliament when we return from the break, where the Speaker has declared a phrase unparliamentary. I'm sure you'd want to know which phrase it is. Stay tuned. The Minister of Local Government was on Tuesday booed on the floor of Parliament by some MPs. This was after he failed to answer most of the supplementary questions posed to him when he appeared on the floor of the House.
After answering the provisional question on the order paper, the local government minister found it difficult to answer supplementary questions.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to crave your indulgence to have a deletion made in the response. State that a municipality that the geographical area consists of a single compact settlement and that there is a minimum of 95,000 people, that should be deleted.
At a point, he had to resort to some coaching from the majority leader, which caused him not to hear some of the questions which attracted the boos.
Speaker, may I crave the indulgence of the minister to listen, rather to listen to tutorials from the majority leader. He's not listening to me. Please address the chair. Mr. Speaker, you see, he got up to answer the question when I am not even finished. Address the chair. Address the chair.
Meanwhile, a scheduled visit to the demolition site at Kwadwo by the Works and Housing Committee has been put on hold. Information gathered by Joy News indicate the committee was informed by the leadership of the House to postpone the visit for security reasons.
Still in Parliament, the Speaker has officially announced that the President's sessional address will now be delivered on Tuesday, February 25, 2014. The address was originally scheduled for Thursday, February 20, 2014.
Indicates that His Excellency will avail himself to the House on Tuesday next week. So the business committee has been appropriately guided by your procedural office to fix some business to cover the Thursday, which will be announced to the House tomorrow, Mr. Speaker.
I was watching the weather, and last week when I had a meeting with my caucus, I told them that in all probability we may not have the State of the Nation address on Thursday. And lo and behold, it's happening. But we need to know what those circumstances are which were not foreseen, and then perhaps we can comment further on that.
I have no doubt that because of some issues that needed to be handled as preparatory and preliminary to create a very conducive environment for that type of exercise, it is also in the interest of this House that the adjustment is made. I didn't have any doubt that the minority leader will become this time a positive prophet, not a prophet of doom.
Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution states that presidential messages on the State of the Nation address should be delivered at the beginning and before the dissolution of each session of Parliament. It, however, does not state an exact time when this should take place, leaving it to interpretation by different speakers.
I agree with you, and that is why Peter Lajete drew a distinction between opening the session. That is within what the French do, the Francophone countries do at the beginning of the session, which is opened by the Speaker. But you know the constitutional arrangement in those jurisdictions are entirely different from ours. So they have the opening on the first day, and it was on that basis that when Peter Lajete became the Speaker, he thought he should introduce the actual session opening, and he was inspecting Guards of Honor. And at the beginning, the subsequent successors did not see it in that direction. But it's a matter that can be discussed further and proved further, but not on the floor of the House as at now.
The Economic and Organised Crime Office, EOCO, will be treated to a private session when it appears before Parliament's Public Accounts Committee. Chairman of the committee, Kwadwo Mamenu, cites the nature of EOCO's work as reasons for the closed-door session.
EOCO was billed to appear before the PAC on Tuesday, February 18, but had to be rescheduled for Friday.
We decided that by virtue of the nature of work that they do for the country, we cannot take EOCO in public. and therefore we are rescheduling Nyoko to come to meet with the committee on Friday, Friday coming, 12 o'clock midday, so that we can do Nyoko outside the public purview. But any report that comes and Nyoko finds itself in will be part of what we present to plenary. Only that we wouldn't do the sitting in public.
Also appearing before the committee was the Copyright Office, which is accused of violating audit regulations.
But there are certain regulations that actually should be given some credence to the work that we do. Do you know when they paid the withholding taxes? 17 February 2014. What? Public Accounts Committee, I think the public should notice that we don't send people to jail, but the type of work we're doing brings some money into the national kitty. Just our invitation alone has cost 205, 457, 657 Ghana cedis into a consolidated fund only yesterday, because they were coming for a sitting. And if we hadn't done that, this money will still be there in the accounts. But it's a complete breach of our regulations.
We do. What we do is we reconcile the issue coupon issue book with the log book, so that whatever is taken and signed for in the coupon issue book is the same thing that is entered in the log book. We do that.
The Attorney General assured the committee her office will take action on the matter. Other organizations that appeared before the committee included Legal Aid Scheme and Law Reform Commission.
Traders at Adeshiman Gardens in Kumasi have been victims of another demolition exercise shortly after raising part of their structures to resume business.
Terms of reference of the committee are to establish whether the High Court has given any order of authorizing the demolition exercise, whether the order, if any, was legally executed, ascertain the extent of damage caused by the exercise, among others. The committee would also find out persons who played role in the demolition exercise.
Because normally, if you want to do any demolition in the city, you have to speak to the mayor. And nobody spoke to me, so the exercise was done. And at least, there are laws and there are laws. If people are supposed to be evicted by the law, I think the best thing was to just give them notice. We didn't have any notice for them. And I know times are hard. People are, lost so much money and lost property. That is why I've taken it on me to investigate this matter and go to the bottom of the matter.
The affected traders have begun raising structures at the site to continue business. Our cameras captured some of them struggling to join woods to raise their shops. Others stood aside to discuss issues of the demolition. Counsel for the traders, lawyer Afriyie, explains what transpired in court. He says what the plaintiff is seeking to relate was not what reflected in the orders of the court.
Clearly, what they had come to court for was a motion asking for two persons to be injuncted, because in respect of so many of the other defendants, the court has stayed its hands. So they were only asking that the two people should be injuncted and prevented from coming to trade on the site.
Right, we're returning to the story. Apparently, we brought you the wrong playback. But traders at Adeshiman Gardens in Kumasi have been victims of yet another demolition exercise shortly after raising part of their structures to resume business.
The traders are accusing two of their leaders of conniving with one Nana Osei Tutu, who is claiming ownership of the land, to demolish their structures. The affected traders were unhappy with the exercise. While some were wailing, others stood helplessly thinking of the way forward. Most of those affected were obviously displeased about the exercise.
Hello there, welcome to Business Segment with me, Abigail Adomakoinchi. Now, the Bank of Ghana has maintained that it has not made any changes to the recent measures it announced to stabilize the Ghana cedi. There have been reports over the past days that the central bank has revised the recent directives it introduced following concerns from the public. But head of financial stability at the central bank, Dr. Benjamin Amo, says they only sought to clarify some of the notices they introduced. He also rejected claims that they delayed in introducing the measures to stabilize the local currency. Well, away from that, a team of IMF officials is in town to assess the Ghanaian economy. The review, which is under their Article 4 program, would see the fund gather data to help them with the analysis and projections on Ghana. Many would be looking out for the team's interim reports when they conclude their work next week. This is especially at a time when some international organizations and banks have projected Ghana would end the year not meeting most of the macroeconomic targets and difficult times ahead for the country. The team has already engaged officials of the Finance Ministry, Statistical Service, civil society groups and the Bank of Ghana. Well, we'll move on to some more stories. And finance and trade ministers from West Africa have failed to reach an agreement on the economic partnership agreement with the European Union. Joy Business gathers that the ministers at the end of the meeting in Dakar, Senegal on Monday, February 17, called for some additional consultations at the national level before they signed the agreement. Initial reports from the meeting suggested that the ministers had recommended the signing of the agreement, but some ministers maintained that there was still the need for the various governments to engage their respective civil society groups. The latest development might affect plans to sign the agreement possibly by April with heads of states of the various West African countries. In other news, Societe Generale and CFAO Equipment have concluded a partnership to provide a financial solution package to entrepreneurs to enable them acquire the famous JCB machine with a 1-year maintenance warranty. The customers will have the opportunity to make as low as 20% down payment and spread the remaining balance over a year.
At the end of the lease, the customers will be able to assume full ownership of the machine. In short, the entrepreneurs can get a GCB starting 15,000 Ghana cedi a month. The offer was officially launched Tuesday afternoon to formally invite interested entrepreneurs.
When you have to dig a hole where you need 8 hours with main force, you will do it in 8 minutes with the JCB. At the end of the day, contractors get paid quicker, job get done quicker, everybody is more happy. Will you believe me if I tell you that 1 out of 2 backhoes sold in the world last year were JCB? That's the most widespread machine in the world. You can do several jobs with the JCB. It's the most versatile tool you can purchase. It's a high return value investment. It has a high remarketing value after 3 years. So any contractor who start to look at the figures, who start to look at the duty you can deliver with it.
According to Deputy Managing Director of Societe Generale Ghana, the partnership is key to increase the bank's commitment to key sectors of the Ghanaian economy.
We talk about JCB in particular. This is a world-class brand. As like Societe Generale, so we are very selective in choosing our partners, and I think that JCB is a leading provider of construction machines in the world, and we think that the cooperation with JCB in Ghana will show the best possible results.
Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, Isaac J. Mensah, endorsing the equipment, explained the JCB machine will improve the mining and road sectors of the country.
And the records we have is that they really are on the ground in the market. We are used to the other equipment like the ones from China and so on. But this looks more competent and capable of performing. My joy is that if our contractors should get into the application or usage of this equipment, our road network will improve significantly. It is also important to know that they have a flexible leasing arrangement where contractors, qualified contractors, can have these machines or this equipment for their work.
CFAO Equipment is the main dealer for these machines in the various regions of Ghana and throughout West Africa.
Well, in some other stories, traders in foodstuff are blaming a recent upward adjustment in transport fares for the increase in the prices of their produce. They say although cassava, for instance, is in season, a quantity that used to sell last month at between 2 to 3 cedis is now going for between 4 and 5 cedis.
Joy News' checks on the prices of foodstuffs in some markets in Accra reveal the sharp gain even though most of them are in season.
Banchi abapa, yawo 300 banchi, yawo 400 banchi, yawo 500 banchi, yawo 600 banchi, yawo 700 banchi, 800 banchi. Linya ididi so. Na first 800 banchi no wamuji. Lot of 100,000 and one 200,000. It is all given us one for sign to swa.
A tube of white yam is also selling this week at between 4 and 7 cedis depending on its size, up from between 2 and 5 cedis 2 weeks ago. 3 tubers of sweet yam expected to be harvested in June is however going for 10 cedis. They used to sell at 5 cedis.
Na commission bonye de. Commission ye nketwa no yetua 300 pound. Na akese no so 400. But sesia okay, asase baby egu no ene amo de baye ne ba na omo gi esaska no. Nti no esaska no ye de soso. But 300,000, semi fancy a trouble 1.2. Now this 300 in the source, I bear 1.5. So one means 5 cities, as I obey 20 Ghana cities. But as I see, I know Yanasa, they say I know commissioner 400,000. Wow, Ketwano, how much the 10 city account man I 400. So by any say a chama 1.5. Put the commission by Kanwa, a bro, a sa, 2 1 means 5. And soon is sick.
This is no dos, and run on the by no dos. This is a by no cotobigu and a paya, my cotobia by the other way in our apro. And this is a by no do and check. First, into a man, woman, motorbike, the customers complaints on Quan, but Tobayana. Wouldn't say way, Papa man, or baby fear na pro, and yan swat. Or coffee of a side, send by you man on apro. Yan so up already. This is a guafono, the fertilizer need Brian be fertilizer and it is a by and check.
The traders are also worried cocoyam is in short supply as 5 big roots which previously sold for 5 cedis is now selling at 10 cedis. Prices for plantain are fairly stable as between 3 to 4 fingers cost 1 cedi depending on the size and type. According to the traders, 3 fingers could sell at 5 cedis out of season. The January inflation rate of 5.8% for vegetables also reflected on the market as a box of tomatoes which previously sold at 180 cedis is now selling at 250 cedis. A sack of pepper which sold 2 weeks ago at 60 cedis now sells at 150 cedis, while onions sold for between 1 cedi for 4 pieces to about 15 for 10 cedis. Prices of fruits were generally stable as 100 oranges, for instance, was priced at 15 cedis and 5 big mangoes for 4 cedis. Abigail Adumakwenchi for Joy News.
And that's it for business. I'm Abigail Adumakwenchi, and George Ado Jr. comes up next with sports.
Right, news making rounds in the world of sports, and the Ghana FA boss Kwesi Nyantakyi has assured absolute safety for the Black Stars, having settled on the reportedly notorious city of Maceió as a team base camp for the World Cup in Brazil. Concerns have however been raised over the safety of Maceió, with some reports in the media describing the place as the third most notorious city in Brazil in terms of crime. But the GFA boss believes these reports of heightened crime lack the requisite credibility.
We visited Maceió during the draw in December. We went to the hotel, that is Radisson Hotel, where the team will be based. We slept there for one night, and so we had a feel of the place. We went to the training venue, we saw it, we went around the city. It's not a bad place, it's quite okay. There were rumors or reports of incidents of violence. People said it was the most violent city in Brazil. It may be so, but during the period of World Cup, you agree with me, security stepped up to a level, crime is almost non-existent. Prior to the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, we had reports about the level of crime in South Africa, but during the World Cup, we never heard about these incidents of crime. And so I can assure you that FIFA has put adequate measures in place. The government of Brazil has put adequate measures in place to contain all threats to security. Our team will be in Maceió. We'll be moving from Maceió to play our matches in Natal, the first game. We'll be moving from Maceió to play our second match in Fortaleza. We'll be moving from Natal to play our third match in Brasilia, and the necessary arrangements have all been put in place.
Now, Premier League champions Asante Kotoko have lost their top marksman, Yaya Mohammed, to Libyan outfit Al Ittihad Tripoli. The move comes just 2 days after Kotoko exited the CAF Champions League at the hands of Liberian champions Barak Young Controllers. Asante Kotoko midfielder Yaya Mohammed has signed a pre-contract with Libyan giants Al Ittihad. The agreement will see him join the Tripoli-based club for a 3-year period beginning next season. Yaya Mohammed rejected a 40,000 contract extension offer for 2 years from the Porcupine Warriors in December last year. He jetted into Tripoli this morning with a North African agent to sign the 3-year agreement for the Al Ittihad club. Yaya, who turned 31 years yesterday, is not eligible to feature for the 16-time Libyan Premier League champions yet, as the transfer window in the North African country was closed recently. He'll officially join his new teammates at the end of the current season. The former OG Nice player's 3-year contract with Asante Kotoko officially expires in May. It is, however, unknown if he will return to Ghana to complete his contract with the Ghanaian champions. All right now, time to talk about the UEFA Champions League. The round of 16 on 2 games ongoing currently. Very interesting to find out there, because Manchester City themselves are getting into the knockout stage for the first time. Let's find out what they've done so far in the first half. Of course, the second half is currently underway. Let's look at the results right now as we get into it. So we get into the very first game before we do the Barcelona one. Paris Saint-Germain are leading Bayer Leverkusen by 3-0. Tonight was probably supposed to be the story for Lionel Messi, but I think that Zlatan Ibrahimovic is already taking this one away. He's already scored 2 goals in this one. The other goal was scored by Blaise Matuidi for Paris Saint-Germain. So they're going very well in that one. We get into the second game. It's Manchester City up against Barcelona. A lot has been said about it. No goal has been scored yet. And if it stays this way, of course, Barcelona should be taking the plaudits going all the way to the Camp Nou for that second leg. So we're keeping close tabs on everything that happens in the UEFA Champions League. And of course, tomorrow, you know that Arsenal are up against Bayern Munich. That's another one to really look forward to. That's your sport. I'm George Adi Jr. Israel joins us with some more. Have a good night.
Was brought to you in association with.
So acclaimed dancehall King Shatta Wale has taken a dig at the music industry in Ghana. He's had some pretty unkind words about them.
Shatta Wale on Valentine's night thrilled many of his fans to hot dancehall tunes at the Kolegono beach to mark the celebration of love. In the course of his performance, Shatta paused and lamented on how he feels sad for Ghanaians because they have been lied to all these years by the stakeholders of the Ghana music industry.
If I perform that, I cry because Ghana people lie you people too much. Say Ghana music industry, bumbleclad. Give me a chocolate.
When we checked, bumbleclad means foolish. So the question is, does calling the music industry foolish solve any problem, if there is any? Or does calling the fraternity he Shatta belongs to foolish makes him an intelligent person? We'll try to find answers to this question from Shatta in our subsequent news item.
If I perform that record, because Ghana people like you people too much. Say Ghana music industry, bumbleclad. Give me a chocolate.
It has nothing to do with the bomber clat, but it's also an expression. Now, ahead of the delivery of the President's State of the Nation address, an MP has succeeded in getting the Speaker to declare a recently popularized expression unparliamentary. The effect of the declaration is that President John Mahama will be spared any cheers during his delivery, which has now been postponed to next week. The expression has in recent times been casually and comically used to rubbish people. Here's how it played out on the floor of Parliament.
A lot of people were saying cheer. I think that if you do not declare this word unparliamentary, we'll be heading towards a situation, because last week people cheered. Today they are cheering. Tomorrow they will cheer. And after all, Mr. Speaker, up to today, we don't even know the person who said cheer.
Honorable member for Subin, honorable members, let's have order. Are you raising objection to the use of the word cheer? Then if you raise the objection properly, then I will direct.
No, Mr. Speaker, I'm asking for your direction as to whether the word cheer is parliamentary or not.
Honorable members, the way and the manner it is being said, it's being said in a manner that disrupts the business of the House, and to that extent is unparliamentary.
Right, on another cheer note, we're in the bulletin.
Showbiz was brought to you by...
We wrap up the bulletin with a recap of our top stories. University of Ghana condemns demolition of toll booths and the construction on its campus. But the National Security Coordinator, who's owned up to the act, insists it is justified. Parliament announces postponement of President's State of the Nation address to next week. Deputy Health Minister appeals to medics at Komfanochi Teaching Hospital to return to abandoned wards following recent mob attacks, even as the family of missing baby vows to get to the bottom of the matter. Ghana Health Service to table motion in Parliament to upgrade CHIPS compounds to NHIA accredited facilities. And NDP Chairman Josiah Aye sues NDC General Secretary Johnson Esidun Ketia for allegedly calling him a thief. That'll be all for the bulletin. My name is Israel. Have a good evening.